Hello, everybody. I am Drew Duncan. Do not forget that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan Radio. And Patreon is Drew Duncan Radio as well. Well, I tell you what, you guys are really blowing this whole Jerry Jones, Jason Garrett thing out of the water. And, you know, Jerry Jones is and isn't everything that people say that he is, regardless of what anybody thinks. I know that people think that Jerry Jones loves negative attention from the media. And look, I have said 100 times over that there is not an owner on planet Earth that thrives off of their organization being predicated upon negative popularity from bad media and bad press. It's just there's not an owner in the world that exists in any market that operates that way and thinks to themselves, all publicity is good publicity. There's nobody that works like that. I hate to break it to you, but that individual simply does not exist. Now, when I say that Jerry Jones is and isn't everything that everybody thinks and says that he is, you have to go back and start with the comments that he's made over the last 2 weeks just as perfect examples. And I think that this is where I find the biggest miss with the way that people freak out. After the Dallas Cowboys took the loss to the New England Patriots, Jerry Jones was very critical of the coaching in that football game and felt that his team was good enough to beat the Patriots and walk out of there with a win, regardless of the weather that they were playing in. And I find it amazing that for some odd reason, people just don't think it's okay for Jerry Jones to say, well, I felt like there were some bad coaching choices, without everybody running to the idea that Jason Garrett was going to lose his job the next day. And what did Jerry Jones say to the media after this last loss yesterday to the Buffalo Bills? He said Buffalo was a very good team. We knew that coming in. We had some momentum. We lost that momentum. We couldn't get it back. And everything that I'm going to do over the next month and a half is going to be with the idea of winning a Super Bowl, which is how every owner and every organization at the professional level, whether it's basketball, baseball, football, hockey, whatever the case is, the idea is to be a champion. That's the only reason why people get involved in professional sports, is to be called a champion. There's not a kid in the world that doesn't end up making it to the NFL who doesn't think, obviously about the financial gain that you can get from playing sports, but obviously, what does Lamar Jackson keep talking about? That's great. Let's go win this Super Bowl. Let's win this Super Bowl. He has a singular focus. And that is how everybody thinks, whether you believe that or not. And I get so tired of hearing these little quips. This team just isn't designed to win a Super Bowl. Really? Did anybody put a team together without thinking to themselves, hey, we've put a squad together that we think could win a championship? And sure, some people may think long-term. Some people may think right now. You look at the money that the New York Jets spent this offseason, reportedly over $100 million. There are some people that have the idea of a win-now mentality, and other people are like, let's kind of ride this thing out. Let's build. Let's progress. Let's work on the pieces to the puzzle that we have now that we know we're in a good place, and then go from there. That's how those are literally the only basically two ways that you can go. All this tanking and all this nonsense, maybe the Dolphins are, maybe they're not. Maybe the Sixers did, maybe they didn't. The point of what I'm simply making to you is that Jerry Jones wants to win a Super Bowl. You don't think that the taste he got for the Super Bowls back in the 90s when they won, 3 in a 4-year span, that he doesn't crave that again? You think Jerry Jones wakes up in the morning and goes, it'd be nice if I could figure out a way to bring some negative attention to my football team today. What can I do? I mean, do people really believe that owners think like this? It's insanity to me. And I think for me, the other problem that I have is why is Jerry Jones not allowed to be honest about what happened during the course of a football game? Why can't he, as an owner, if you ask him the question, say, what do you think happened today? Well, I think today it was the coaching. The other time it may be, we missed some plays on the field. We didn't get the quarterback play that we wanted. We didn't run the football very well. The blocking wasn't very good up front. Nobody had time to do anything. Our running backs had no chance to make plays. Our quarterbacks didn't have time to throw the football. Maybe it was defensively. We just didn't do what we were supposed to do. They controlled the line of scrimmage. They pushed us around. They threw the ball deep. We had this and this. Why can't people be honest about that without everybody just freaking out and going DEFCON 3 right away and saying, everybody just needs to be fired? And look, I understand that a good majority of Dallas Cowboy fans have wanted and begged for Jason Garrett to be gone for a while. But let's be very clear. As much as I have said he needs to go too, there are worse things that could be happening right now to the Dallas Cowboys in terms of coaching, because he does have a better than 50% win percentage. And there are a lot of football coaches out there that are right around the same. Look at how many losses Dan Reeves had despite how successful he was as the head coach for the Denver Broncos. Didn't they go to 3 Super Bowls with him as the head coach? They lost every single one of them, all by blowouts, and people were trying to figure out what was the problem. Is it John Elway? Is it Dan Reeves? What's going on? I look at it, and I would look at those games, and I would say that Dan Reeves was out-coached in a good majority of those games. Pretty point blank. And Pat Bowlen, the then owner of the Denver Broncos, felt the same way. And, of course, a few years down the road, what happens? They win 2 Super Bowls with John Elway to cap his career off. And then, of course, maybe icing on the cake for Elway at that time, that last Super Bowl against Atlanta and the then head coached by Atlanta Falcons, Dan Reeves. The point that I'm making is this. Jerry Jones may be an egomaniac. Jerry Jones may be a control freak. Jerry Jones may want to talk about his extensive football knowledge, whatever the case is. He may be all those things. But one thing that I also know about Jerry Jones is that he's a winner. And I know that he's a winner because he was successful before he was an NFL owner. He's been successful as an NFL owner and has one of the most storied franchises in all of football under him right now. And additionally, a big part of that story was while he was there. And you don't own an organization for as long as he has. It makes the kind of money that he has and drawn the type of fanfare that he's been able to keep for as long as he has if you're not a winner. And that's just the bottom line of that situation. And sometimes when you are a winner, you take more criticism. Look at Tom Brady. Look at how many people say, oh, Tom Brady's a system quarterback. He could never go anywhere else and be a winner. Tom Brady is this. Tom Brady's been to 9 Super Bowls. You know how many guys have never even sniffed 1 Super Bowl? Look at Dan Marino. He went to 1 Super Bowl, and then he never got back, ever, the rest of his career. And that was a long career, guys. It's not as easy as you think it is to be a winner. I think it was Bob Stoops who said the thing about winning is people think it's easy, and it's not. If everybody could be a winner, then we would all be winners. That's pretty simple, don't you think? If everybody could be a winner, then at the end of the season, everybody would hand out a trophy to every team in the NFL for some odd reason. But they don't do that. There is 1 Super Bowl champion. There's 32 teams, and only one of them is going to walk out of there as a champion. Ergo, winning is not easy. And it never will be. Period. And so for anybody to think that Jerry Jones wakes up in the morning, hates winning, wants negative attention for his franchise, doesn't care about winning Super Bowls or big games, and shouldn't be able to be critical of his coaching staff or athletes or whatever the case may be, I understand. He does get out of control. Come on, the Zeke thing, all that stuff, it gets kind of dicey. He's not perfect. But I think at some point, we also have to be able to look at everything as in its totality without being critical about every little thing that everybody says, because we live in that society now where the modern era and the internet makes everything so accessible, and we all feel the need to say something, but just because you can doesn't mean that you should. I am Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. YouTube is at Drew Duncan Radio, and you can find me on Patreon now. Simply look for Drew Duncan Radio. And as always, don't you dare touch that dial.